You've heard that thoughts create your reality, but is that true? And what happens if you have a rough day and think all kinds of bad thoughts? Does that mean that you're bound to just have more and more rough days? Or have you ever tried to think about love and happiness and success or abundance? Then had it not changed the way that your day was going? Some days it may seem a little far-fetched that our thoughts would have any effect on our reality. Well, today we're going to break down how your thoughts have a major impact on your everyday life. Life is full of difficult questions, experiences that leave you asking more questions and offer very little direction. You need a way to tap into your potential and have a roadmap to become the best version of yourself. Welcome to the Neuro Coach Podcast. My name is Trisha Peterson, and this is where we go below the surface into your subconscious to rewire the brain and finally align yourself with the person that God designed you to be. The only thing that you're missing right now is an internal connection between today's thoughts and tomorrow's outcome. So get excited. This one simple question could help you find the missing piece that you always knew you needed, but didn't know how to find. Hello, my friends. I'm so excited to have you back. Today, we get to dive into one of my favorite topics. Now, this is episode 3, and we're still getting to know each other. So a fun little thing that you should know. I have a lot of clients and a lot of my students from the NeuroCoach Institute that will just laugh at me because you will hear me probably say this fairly often on the podcast. I have a lot of favorites. Most of it is because I absolutely love all of these things that we're talking about. It makes me so happy. And so when I start talking about them, I get so excited and I just can't help it. I like everything is just my favorite. So you'll hear me talk about that a lot. But this really is such an amazing thing. And we will talk about this particular topic of how our thoughts can affect our reality a lot as we go through the podcast together. So know that I'm really, really excited to be here, and I hope that you are too. So on the last episode, we introduced you to the equation and how your experience, which is totally neutral, plus your perception equals your outcome, right? This nice, pretty, simple equation that shows us how everything that we're working through is really neutral. It's us that's off. We're the ones that need help, all of those things. When in reality, we are not very simple beings. We are extremely complex, especially when we start bringing in how you're interacting and the things that you're thinking. All of those things can be very, very complicated. And so it makes it hard to fit into a pretty little equation until you know how to expand your perception. Okay. When we take that perception, again, your experience is always going to be neutral. When we take that perception and we start looking into the conscious and the subconscious and all of those things that make up you, now we're able to start to get a bigger picture of how those very complex things can be made simple. So we're going to take that perception and we're going to divide it into 4 different quadrants. Okay. The first one that we're going to talk about today is our thoughts. Next in the quadrant, moving over, is going to be your feelings. Then those feelings are going to lead us to what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the world, all of those things. Then the last quadrant is your behavior, how you're showing up, the actions that you are taking. All of these different things are going to play into your perception. Now, if you're really visual like me, I made an equation guide for you because words are awesome and they can help us a lot, but I'm very, very visual. So if you go to neurocoachpodcast.com/episode 3, you will be able to download this equation guide that's going to help walk you through so you can see it all visually. If you're visual, don't worry, I got you. Okay, so as we are looking into this equation, today we're really going to focus in on our thoughts. We're going to take the next couple of episodes and we're going to go through each of these different quadrants, these different sections that make up your perception, because I want to make sure that you really understand how each of these things, though they all go together and they all work together and one leads to another and all of those things, they're really important to start to understand if you want to be able to start to create a different outcome. So today we're focusing in on our thoughts. So let's look at what is a thought? How does it come up? Where are they created? All of those things. We're going to dive into all of that. Now, there's a lot of things in your life that you can have control over. And there's a lot of things that happen in your life that you don't have control over. We love the things that we have control over, and we struggle a little bit more with the things that we don't have control over. One thing that you always will have control over is your thoughts. Okay, your thoughts have a major influence on your perception of the experience. Okay, your thoughts have a major influence because everything begins with a thought. But the best part about that is you always have control of your thoughts. A thought is always optional. Whether you think something is good or bad, whether you think something is exciting or fearful, all of those things are 100% optional. So if you don't like the outcome that you're getting, it comes back to changing your thoughts. All right. So where do thoughts come from? We're going to get into a neuroscience here just a little bit because I think it's so fascinating when we really understand that there is research, so much research behind thoughts and how it affects the way that we show up. It affects our feelings. It affects our beliefs. It affects our behaviors. And most importantly, it affects the way that we are showing up in the world, the outcome that you are receiving. So it's a very complex process, but we're going to break it down. So hang with me for just a second. In your brain, you have some neurons that are going to, when I say some, you have a lot of neurons that are going to release a chemical known as a neurotransmitter. These neurotransmitters are going to generate an electrical signal to the other neurons that are around it. These electrical signals will then spread like a wave out to thousands of other neurons. When that electrical signal goes out, that's what leads to a thought formation. So there's a biochemical way that we can track where thoughts are coming from. And it happens all over your brain. So everything that you experience, everything from the imagination, your daydreaming, down to what you're doing at work or how you're showing up at home, to what you're physically creating, will always begin with a simple thought. It's pretty amazing to me that your body does not move or take any action at all without a command from your brain. Your brain is going to command your body to do all the things that you do every moment of every day, from the way that you talk with your hands or the way that you wave at a neighbor as you drive by, even as simple as the way that you take a breath. Your brain is constantly sending out these electrical signals that says this is what your body needs to do next. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're showing up. Everything begins as a thought, and it goes all the way down to the chemistry of your body. We're sending out these electrical signals all the time. Okay. Now, when a thought is formed, most of the time that formation happens in our conscious brain. But there are also thoughts that are going on in your subconscious. So let's talk about the difference in those. A thought that happens over and over and over, when it's repeated so many times, your subconscious mind says, I know what to do with this. We've taken this neural pathway so many times that we're going to put it on automatic. This is a really nifty system in your brain called the reticular activating system. A lot of times it's called the RAS. This is what happens. The system kicks in when you have a thought that goes from one neuron to the next multiple times, not once, not twice, but many, many, many times. It wears in that neural pathway where it becomes automatic. So our thoughts can be put on repeat. Now, this can be extremely helpful because you don't have to think about putting one foot in front of the other to walk down the street. You don't have to think about how to put toothpaste on your toothbrush when you go to brush your teeth at night. You don't have to think about when you sit down in your car, what do I do next? All of these things you've done so many times that they have become automatic. Now, if you can remember way back when you very, very first sat behind the wheel, your very first time that you sat in a car and you said, okay, I'm going to drive this thing. You had to think about it. Make sure you turn on the ignition. Make sure your foot is on the brake. Make sure you've got, you're using the gear shifter instead of the windshield wipers. Like you had to think and put a lot of thought into how do I make this car move? But it's second nature now. We do it so fast we don't even think about it. It's all habitual. And that is thanks to this RAS. So this is an extremely helpful system in your body. However, it's not always helpful because we have thoughts that don't always serve us. We have negative thoughts. We talk badly about ourselves. We talk badly about someone else, or we have a thought that is off the wall or whatever, right? These thoughts, the more we think them, the more true they become to us. The more we wear down those neural pathways that make up this thought formation, the more those neurotransmitters are used, it creates a rut in the way that we think, where we literally get to a point where we can't think any different. Sadly, we see this happen a lot in abuse situations where someone will be told or they will experience over and over that they are worthless, to where those neural pathways, those neurotransmitters have become so routine that becomes part of who they are. That becomes an automatic thought that happens anytime they are asked to think something different. It's, oh no, that goes against the thoughts that I have. That goes against what I feel, because this reticular activating system has kicked in and it has become an automatic thought, and we can't get out of that. Well, that's not a true statement. You can get out of that, but it is so much harder because we're now fighting that rut that we got into. We're fighting the automatic thoughts that are happening in our head over and over and over. All right. So your thoughts are extremely important. So can a thought really affect your reality? The truth is, absolutely. Your thoughts play a major role in the way that you show up. Now, a new thought, something that you maybe have never thought of before, probably isn't going to have that much impact on your reality, because it's new and it is something that you're exploring or you're experimenting with. And it's not going to have that much effect on your reality. But when that RAS kicks in and you have these thoughts that happen over and over and over again, it absolutely affects your reality, because these thoughts are going to change the way that you are showing up. Now, when we were talking about the equation, we talked about how thoughts will then create your feelings. Those feelings will then create a belief. And that belief is going to then dictate your behavior, how you are showing up. It always is going to come down to these thoughts that we're having. And I fought that principle for a really long time because I am such a feeler. I feel everything. I am very much an empath. I can feel a lot of different things from me, from different people. I feel a lot of energy. I'm very, very, very much a feeler. And so I wanted to believe for me, because I have these gifts, feelings come first. Thoughts don't come first. Feelings come first. And I ran with that theory for a long time, many, many years. When I would teach this equation, I would teach it like all these things in the box, they actually can rotate. Okay. So maybe for you, feelings come first, and that's going to lead to a belief, which is then going to lead to a thought. And so I used to teach it that all of these things inside the box that make up your perception, they can move around, they can change. And as much as I really wanted that to be true, I found that everything is always going to come down to these thoughts. Your thoughts are going to be the foundation to everything that you do. The hardest part about that is we don't always know what the automatic thought is. We don't know the thoughts that are generating the feelings that are leading to the beliefs that are then leading to behaviors. So when you're trying to change a behavior because you don't like the outcome, we need to be able to understand what is the thought that is leading to this outcome. And so there's a lot of people who will, repeat affirmations, and they repeat them a lot because they understand a thought that's repeated over and over creates this automatic behavior, right? This automatic thought rather. And if we can have these automatic thoughts that I'm amazing, I can be successful, I can do all of these things, I am, we think, well, then that's going to become my reality. A lot of people get frustrated with affirmations because it doesn't always work that way. And that will start to become more clear as we get into the feelings and the beliefs specifically. But when you have a new thought that challenges those beliefs, your brain is going to understand that that is a new thought, and it's going to kick it out before it ever has an opportunity to become a new belief. So hang tight with me on that, because we are going to get into that even more when we start talking about beliefs. I'm starting to jump ahead of myself. I told you this is so much fun. I hope you love this as much as I do, because it really truly is my favorite thing to talk about. So beliefs can absolutely create your reality, and it always is going to come back to a thought. Every time you may get stuck in feeling or thinking that it's going to come to a feeling like I did. And I encourage you, please, if you believe that feelings are going to come first, test that theory. Test it, because I did that. For years, I wanted that to be true. So I found my ways of working around the system to try and make that true. I don't want to deprive you of a learning opportunity, but I can tell you from years of experience, everything is going to come down to this thought. Everything is going to come here first, because thoughts truly are the foundation of everything that you do. So as you are learning through this journey with me, as you are learning to recognize thoughts, as you're learning to recognize all the different parts that make up your perception, I invite you to download the equation guide. It's going to help walk you through each section as we go through all of these different episodes, as we talk about thoughts and feelings and beliefs and behaviors. It's going to walk you through all of those things. But for me, most importantly, it's going to give you a visual for you to be able to see, okay, where is this? What is happening? And how is it all working together? So go to neurocoachpodcast.com/episode 3, and you'll be able to download that equation guide that's going to walk you through. It's going to take you through the process of how to identify a thought. It's going to help you be able to figure out how this thought is actually affecting your reality. I cannot wait to see you there, and we will see you on the next episode.
Don't you love the power of your brain? It is so amazing. If you found this episode helpful in any way, send us a review, give it some stars, and cheer us on. I make a point to read everything that you sent in because, believe it or not, your words are powerful and they make a difference, not only to me, but anyone who stumbles upon this podcast. So thank you for your love and encouragement. And in case you forgot, you're more exceptional than you think. You're stronger and braver than you allow yourself to feel. And what you are contributing right now means more to the people in your life than you will ever know. Today's going to be a great day. So thanks for diving in deep with me. And I'll see you next week on another amazing episode of the Neuro Coach Podcast.